Hey, who doesn't like a cold beer every now and then? Everyone has their favorites, from ales to stouts, from lager to porters. And we like ours with a crab cake. Today on this crab cake, we're joined by some of the beer gurus, or as we call them, brew-yous, from Katcef Brothers. And we're going to talk, you guessed it, beer.
All right, we're just able to sit down after the national anthem. It was noon. We're here at Mission Barbecue, and we're with John O'Leary and Mike LeViseur from Katcef Brothers, and you're with Naptown Events, right, John O'Leary?
That's right. Thanks for having us.
And what we're all about today is, and we're not sampling beers like we normally do, but we're going to be talking about drinking beers and everything else that's going on with St. Patrick's Day, which is the celebration for Annapolis is coming up next weekend, which is actually the 9th and the 10th of March. And the first thing, and John O'Leary, you're the guy that sort of started this whole, St. Patrick, I guess, started it way back when, but locally here, you sort of re-engaged it and started it up 7 years ago, wasn't it?
That's right. This is our 7th year.
And I'm assuming you know how to read a calendar, so I want to know why St. Patrick's Day is the next weekend. What's the deal?
Well, that's a great question, and it's often asked. And the answer is actually, I feel, pretty simple. And that was that St. Patrick's Day weekend itself, the weekend of the 17th, or the nearest weekend to St. Patrick's Day, is always quite busy in Annapolis. And this time of year in Annapolis, at the Naval Academy, we'd call it the doldrums or the dark ages. So it's very quiet around town, and I think with our partners at Katcef, they would agree. So we wanted to bring more business to town a week early, and we believe we've been successful with that premise.
So that is that's what it was, just to jumpstart the business. I know that the Downtown Annapolis Partnership does Restaurant Week in the doldrums of winter, and there's all sorts of different events to do it, because I know I talked to one restaurateur one time who did tell me that, you come into my restaurant on a Wednesday night in February, and if you sit in the window, I'll buy you your drinks. And, if you smile, I'll make them doubles.
Right. Right.
So it can be tough in the winter here, and that's great. Now, this St. Patrick's Day parade has grown, and initially one year it was just a parade, and now we're looking at a weekend full of events. There's 4 main events. We've got a pub crawl. We've got called a Shamrock Stroll. There is the Hooley, which we'll get into, and then we're going to have a parade, and we're going to wrap it up with a thing called Shamrock the Dock. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's in store for, and I don't even want to say Annapolitans, because this is definitely a regional thing. We're pulling from all over the area to come down here. But Mike, let's go with the Shamrock Stroll. This is a pub crawl, and it's on the 5th year, I believe it is.
Yes,
for this.
5th year for this. We're very excited. We'd like to thank, on behalf of Katcef, thank you guys for having us, and thank you, John, and Naptown Events. We're looking forward to this partnership, and it's going to be a great year this year. I know John's going to touch on it. There is no DC St. Patrick's Day parade, so we're hoping this year is going to be the largest and most successful crawl that we've had. In fact, we've added 2 bars to the bar crawl this year, in addition to the original ones that we've had. So we're expecting big numbers. It is obviously March 9th. You can register online now through Naptown Events, or through the Facebook page is also up there. You can show up at between 10 and 12 o'clock on City Dock that day at $10, and you get $3 Bud Lights and $1.99 Bud Lights at Armadillo's to start the day. So should be a great fun day.
You said $1.99?
$1.99.
Hello, Armadillo.
Right. Well, it's the traditional starting point, and the same thing is people want to move on, and you could start anywhere in the crawl. You don't necessarily have to start at Armadillo's. We go as far as Fido, pretty much. So all the bars that are participating in it are Armadillo's, Dock Street, McGarvey's, Harvest, Acme, Ram's Head Tavern, Stand & Joe's, and Fido. And I don't believe I missed any on that list.
I think you missed Middleton.
Middleton's, sorry.
Yeah.
Middleton's was the last one.
Sorry, Jerry.
Sorry about that one. I apologize. Yes, Middleton's and Ram's Head are the new additions to the bar crawl this year. So I'm very excited to have them on board and be a part of this as well.
That's great. It starts right down here at Dock Street. Now, you can buy your tickets in advance, you said, or
Yes.
you can actually walk up and just do it that morning?
Absolutely. And we've talked with John. We're going to try to make it a very, wholesome event. Like, it was starting early. Like, we'll have some stuff going on down there while, you're signing up. You can get some beers down there if you really want to start that early. If you just want to get a coffee before the crawl starts, I understand that as well. But all in all, this is going to be a great weekend. I'm very much looking forward to it. And we're hoping, like I said, to draw from not only the Annapolis area, but, farther down into D.C. and the Virginia people possibly too.
And pipers?
Oh, yes. We'll have pipers there leading the way the whole way. They are a fan favorite. If you haven't done it before, they are something to behold and to see. So,
and I can actually jump in there. This year, the New Hampshire State Police Pipe Band is coming in on Friday, and they will be the pipers for the Shamrock Stroll this year.
Very cool. I've got a love-hate relationship with pipers. I love them around St. Patrick's Day. I really just hate them kind of other times of the year.
I'm sure that there's a story behind that somewhere.
Yeah, but I'll tell you it is. It's funny. When I graduated high school, we were led by a piper, and we had to march from our campus to this church where they had the graduation, and it's up in Connecticut, so it was on the green, and it was a mile and a half, and this guy was just playing the pipes as we walked very, very slowly for about a mile and a half, and as we're going up, I'm going, I would just don't know what I would do if my name was Anderson, but boy, I would give my left, you name the body part, to be named Zimmerman, to be at the end of that line.
Oh, right.
And after a mile and a half of just a single piper playing the same song all and all again in a small cadence, it was just sort of turned me off on it. So,
right.
But I do love the celebration. I do love when you get a number of them, and there have been a couple times when it's here. I know that it really moved me over the summer when Mackenzie Bowie had played for the vigil for the Capital Gazette shooting victims, and that was just that really was sort of brought you to tears type of a moment. But I do love a piper, and on St. Patrick's Day or the days leading into St. Patrick's Day, it's going to be a little bit more upbeat for sure. And all the different restaurants, all the different pubs and restaurants that are going to be participating, they'll have different special pricing on the Bud Light and. Food, are they going to have any food specials, or is that up to them?
We leave it up to the bars at that point to do whatever they want to do, and they're offering a full variety. So if you're not per se a Bud Light drinker, which we hope you are, but feel free. It's a great atmosphere to come out. You'll see a lot of people that maybe you haven't seen in a while. I know I have a group of friends coming into town just for this event for the second year because they love it. It's a good time, and if you haven't been to Annapolis ever, it's a good time of the year to check it out. Yeah, it's a little cold downtown, but you get your bearings around, and then you come back in the summertime when it's gorgeous here. So.
That's absolutely right. And you do get a cool koozie from Bud.
Yes.
To do that. And this goes up to about, 5 o'clock?
So the actual crawl will be from 12 to 5, but we said registration's from 10 to 12.
Okay, great. And then we'll switch over here to Mr. O'Leary on, at the end of the crawl, we jump into this thing called a Hooley.
That's right.
And what the hell is a Hooley?
So a Hooley is an Irish party. And
is that a literal definition?
Really what it is, actually.
It's a one-day of party.
And so the Hooley, I believe it's our 5th year for the Hooley as well. The reason we came up with the idea of having a dinner, a get-together, a fun time, music, food, drinks, etc., was to make this more than a one-day event. The importance of having a multi-day event is not lost on us in that when we have that, then folks start staying overnight in hotels.
Sure.
And hotel tax is most important to the city of Annapolis.
Getting more important with Airbnb.
That's right. So a hotel tax goes directly to the city, where alcohol and food goes to the state and trickles down. So our goal has been to create a multi-day event. We'll probably at some point move into a Friday night event as well, which would then lead into the Stroll, then our Hooley. So the Hooley, to give more detail on it, is a event that we've had at formerly the Lowe's, now the Hotel Annapolis.
That's a tough thing to remember, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I always call it the Lowe's.
It's still in my computer as the Lowe's.
They were a great partner, and the new owners are going to be a great partner as well. We have had it down at what was the Marriott Waterfront Hotel.
I still go to CVS and say I want a damn margarita.
Right.
What do you mean we don't sell them? No, you are. You're the Mexican cafe. Give me a margarita.
So it goes from 6 to 10. It is a ticketed event.
What's the cost?
This year the cost is $110.
Okay. It's
full dinner. It is 4 hours of open bar. It is Dublin 5, 2 pipe bands, Irish dancers, and another band, the Befuddlers.
Dublin 5 is a lot of fun. Wait, 100? You said just over $100.
That's right. And it's also a charity. In fact, the entire weekend is a fundraiser for this year 2 charities. One being Warrior Events, which is a nonprofit that supports wounded troops. And there's a new nonprofit in town called the Annapolis Police Foundation, which we are chartering, or we're not chartering, but it has been chartered. I actually sit on the board of it, and we're supporting them this year as well.
That's great.
And I meant, sorry to interject, but also I forgot to mention the tickets from the Shamrock Stroll, all the proceeds go to those 2 charities as well. So,
that's awesome.
So, yes, this is all going back to charity.
The Annapolis Police Foundation, is that the one that is doing the spring, they're doing a spring fling, and that's the scholarship program that they fund and everything else?
I'd have to get back to you on it, because I know that there's a number of different initiatives, whether
it's that specific one
correct.
or not.
I don't know if it's an umbrella nonprofit or not. I should know that.
Well, okay, but back to my sort of question. I'm scratching my head here. Okay, we're talking Irish. A bunch of Irish people are Irish wannabes,
right,
for the weekend. You said 4 hours of open bar and a meal.
Full meal, yes. With past
are you making any money on this?
There's not a lot of
come on, man.
Not a lot of margin on that.
I've got plenty of Irish friends.
And actually, that's a great lead-in. The sponsors really make up the difference. I can tell you that the cost of the event per head is about $101 with everything that goes into it. So $110 for an individual. We've sold out of all the tables, and those were $12.50. So a little bit more there.
How many tickets are available still? Do you know? Or
we have about 30 tickets left.
Oh, okay.
And they'll go probably this weekend.
So do it quick.
Yes, because when they're sold out, they're sold out.
That's true. Now, who are your sponsors that are helping underwrite this?
The Hooley is basically presented by the Bayhawks.
Okay.
So last year, or I should say 2 years ago, they came on board as our title sponsor and have been tremendous. And so working with Brendan Kelly's team of, his staff.
Right.
And they've just been great.
The Bayhawks have been really great community-wise, obviously for the Hooley and the Irish Fest, or the Irish St. Patrick's Day Parade and whatnot, but they've been very instrumental in any number of different events throughout the year. And I know that
the hospital
I mean, I know with Budweiser they do the promotions on the field and and the golden tickets and
the Bud Light Good Sport.
They're a great partner for any number of different organizations through the town. So cheers to the Bayhawks.
Absolutely.
Hooley goes till 10.
It goes till 10. Then the enterprising establishments around town take advantage of that 10 o'clock endpoint and have after parties, particularly up on West Street. I know Stan and Joe's does a big deal up there afterwards. And we in fact, the pipe band that I mentioned earlier, the New Hampshire State Police pipe band, they'll finish out the evening and pipe everybody out and pipe right down the road down to Stan and Joe's afterwards. Kind of, it's my way of getting everybody out of the party.
There's a nice
deal. Yeah.
Well, you probably need to, because what do you go home and go to bed, or do you go out and party? Because you got a big day. You got a big day on Sunday.
Oh yeah, and it's also daylight savings the next day, so we're losing an hour.
Do we lose an hour of sleep? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Spring ahead, fall.
Yeah. So we're up early. We've got. If we can switch into the
that's where we're working our way through the weekend, man. Then on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, actually, the parade kicks off at 1.
True. However, we actually go before that. So the Shamrock, the dock, starts at 11 a.m. with Danny Burns playing. And then we also have the O'Grady Quinlan Irish dancers that will play on his break. So 11 to 1, parade kicks off at 1.
Okay, so Shamrock the Dock, that's a brand new event.
That's brand new. Yep. And
where is that? I'm going to assume it's right down here at Susan Campbell Park.
Susan Campbell Park, large stage. We saw that there was a lot of interest in certainly Dublin 5, because they're going to play that afternoon after the parade. And they played traditionally at Armadillo's upstairs, which has a max capacity, I think, 75 people.
Right.
Maybe 100.
Maybe.
On paper.
On paper.
Yeah. Don't tell the fire marshal. No, right. It's 75, and we've constantly had to push people away, or tell them to, one in, one out, or one out, one in. So there's a lot of people that want to, take advantage of, having a great time with great music and great, food and camaraderie. We want to make it a family event. We'll have face painters down at Shamrock the Dock. We'll have some of the things that Katcef is bringing to the table.
We'll have some beers for sure. Bud Light, Stella, Goose Island, and a couple other products. But to touch base on what John's been saying, this is great for the city. We want to keep doing more events like that. And this is, the more we can make, the town. Annapolis is a great city. The more events that we can keep, keep the momentum going here. And I think that's our overall goal. We're growing the Shamrock Stroll. We're adding the Shamrock, the Dock. The parade keeps getting bigger. These are all good things for the city.
Well, I will say that, and a shout out to Katcef and your team, because you guys have really been a great supporter for years and years on different initiatives for the city. I mean, you've done life vests at the boat ramps. You've done the Water Org partnership with Stella Artois, the Budweiser Clydesdales that come in for the military boat parade every year, and are tremendous.
I was just say, on behalf of Neil, like, I know that he has a passion and a love for this town. Like, he wants to see this town to be everything it can be and more. And I know that from the bottom of his heart. Like, you know, when we have these events, Neil's like, yes. The answer is usually always yes. So we're excited, man, to say the least. This is going to be another great addition to the St. Patrick's Day month, as I feel like March has become.
Oh, is it going that? Is that the future?
I think so.
St. Patrick's Day month. It's March.
Well, we have started off by saying that it's Irish Week in Annapolis, and again, some smart individuals have added things during the week. I would say Galway Bay has their Irish history dinners,
sure,
as an example. We hope that continues, so we can, maybe follow in the footsteps of Savannah, which is a full week of a good time.
Shenanigans, to use an Irish term.
That's right, of shenanigans.
Now, let's talk about the parade a little bit. This parade has grown and grown and grown, and I will say, from a spectator point of view, you do the parade like nobody else does a parade in this town. You've got your guys all dressed up with the armbands and the tweed, herding the rats to make sure they're on time and the spacing is there. Right. I can't tell you how many parades I've seen over the years where the crowd's sitting there and waiting for the next thing, going, oh, I guess it's over. Right. And they start to dissipate, and all of a sudden, here comes the next unit. But I mean, this parade is just run very well. That draws the crowds. I mean, what is the crowd expected to be? Well, weather dependent, and it's going to be a beautiful day. Although looking at the
weather's going to be great, Sean.
Depending on what app you look at, it's going to be wonderful. We're expecting at least 10,000 people. As Mike mentioned, the DC parade was canceled this year.
What happened there?
So that's a funding issue. Okay. These parades are not cheap. I can tell you that right now. It's about a $60,000 a day going out the door for us. The bands I mentioned from New Hampshire. We have also the Massachusetts State Police Band. We have bands from Richmond. We have bands from New York. We have multiple bands from Connecticut. Those are very expensive. They kind of make the parade, we feel, but they need you to get them here, put them up, and then pay them. Right. So there's a big expense there. Then, we don't have a flatbed truck as the reviewing stand. We ensure that we've got a stage for the mayor and the governor. We want to do things right. The bigger it's gotten, the more expensive it's gotten with insurance. You can imagine that 10,000 people and a truck losing its brakes going down Main Street could be a bad thing.
Right.
For many reasons, especially the human factor, but we have to account for that from a cost perspective. And we want to be able to put on a good show and ensure that it is a friendly, safe event. And that just takes a lot of planning, and it does take money. So
It really does. But you mentioned the DC parade was canceled. Are you in? Mike, you had alluded that they're going to be bringing tons of people in from that. I mean, obviously that would make sense. Have you any other units, any other entries into the parade from there? Or?
Well, we're sold out in Annapolis each year, and when I sold out, we don't want this thing to go from 1 to 5. People start to lose interest, so we capped the amount of floats. Last year we capped it at 110, and that's where we'll be this year as well.
Okay.
And I mean, it's totally capped now. And I've turned away a lot of floats. But we do have some that came in from DC, and then we have groups that are coming in just for, to watch the parade. And so as such, we're adding buses, so we pay for it as an additional cost out of our own pocket. We pay for buses coming from the stadium, so there's parking at the stadium that provide transportation for folks that are in the parade to go to the start of the parade, and then also for folks that are going to come downtown or to watch the parade. And then after the parade's over, it reverses and it takes everyone back up to the stadium.
Well, you'd mentioned parking. That's probably a good thing to think for. Obviously, for Saturday, which is the Shamrock, Stroll, and the Hooley, garages are probably going to be fine. I'd say garages usually suffice around here. I mean, there's always parking.
Well, with the Stroll, don't you have buses coming in from like South PG County and
And so that, I mean, you don't want all those folks driving home for obvious reasons as well.
For obvious reasons. So what we do have, I know there's a group coming on a bus from not Ocean City, over the side of the bridge from the Stevensville area, which is funny. They came last year and they were a great time. Always we encourage people, use Uber, use Lyft. Those resources are abundant here in Annapolis.
I wish they were there when I was a kid.
Yeah, no joke.
And also obviously be safe. We want people to be safe, but we want everyone to have a good time too. And also there's parking available up behind Fido, and there's another lot on West Street across, obviously, from Stan and Joe's and Tsunami and up that way.
But yeah, the parking on Sunday is really the
It's going to be. We're bringing
need
10,000 people in. I mean, this is, this is almost a football game.
Yes, and it's all on the lining the streets. So as you mentioned, Mike, there are different lots, and we encourage the use of the public lots. But again, also we provide we don't provide the parking. There's a charge to park.
Sure.
At the stadium. I think it's $10.
Sure.
But we do provide the busing, and we added buses this year to accommodate what we think will be an influx of folks. Now we do hope that the parade in DC goes on going forward. They lost funding from the city and they had to cancel it. So
they typically have their parade on that St. Patrick's Day weekend, or the one that more people traditionally feel, the St. Patrick's Day weekend. And is that something that was going into your planning, in that people would be able to participate in multiple parades if ours was not on?
That was the other thing. We didn't want to compete with DC and Baltimore. And the first few years we did not, because theirs was closer to the date itself. However, this year, Baltimore is on the same day, and DC was going to be on the same day. And I tend to think that they saw what we were doing here in terms of the fact that St. Patrick's Day weekend is normally pretty busy, and so they want to increase the traffic to their towns as well.
Sure.
So
okay.
It kind of is what it is. We don't feel like we compete. We do miss some of the folks that we have that we're really good friends with, different groups from Baltimore, and they'll be back next year. We'll be on the 11th next year, and they'll move up to the 16th.
It still always blows my mind that we're in 1st of March, and you're already now thinking of March of 2020.
My phone starts ringing on the day after the parade. This has become a full-time third job. Yes.
So after about 2 hours worth of parading, which kicks off, and the parade route, for those that don't know, is the typical Annapolis parade route. Starts up at Maryland Hall-ish, comes down West Street, down to the circle, at the church circle, goes down Main Street, and then it winds its way down to City Dock, where it just sort of dissipates down at Susan Campbell Park. Depending on the size of the units, how they go, some may peel off at Randall Street and go back to wherever they magically came from, with that's probably the end of a rainbow someplace with a pot of gold or something.
They go back up to Maryland Hall, yeah.
But after the parade, don't just dissipate and go back to your thing. You want to come down here for Shamrock the Dock.
Well, I mean, that's an option. certainly all of the other establishments in town want you to go to their places, and we do too. I mean, this is intended to bring business to town. We are providing an option for those that can't get into some of the pubs, and those have kids that typically don't want to bring their kids into the pubs.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. St. Patrick's Day celebration is probably not the place to bring your toddlers with you to tote along.
So we'll have, like I mentioned, we'll have face painters. We have a photo. It's called a photo bus. So
the blue photo bus.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's going to have a green background with, Irish type backgrounds for family photos, and I think you'll have some placards and stuff the kids can stand behind, leprechauns.
Yes, that's
things.
what we're doing. We're making some cutouts. You can take the Facebook pictures. It'll be fun. We've done it before. To comment off of John's thing, we have a great list of bands coming. Obviously, Dublin 5 being the headliner, but it should be entertaining throughout the entire day for all ages. And I think that's what's great about this event. You could bring your little ones, and you could have people that are in the 30s and your olders and whatnot. And it really meets everybody's criteria, like for an entertaining day.
Right. Now, question for you, Mike. I mean, will there, and you probably, I don't know whether you're pulling permits or whatever, but at Shamrock the Dock, will there be beer sales down there, or are you restricted to going to the bars?
Absolutely. We're going to have beer sales. It's going to be a roped off area, so you got to stay within the restraints of the area. But we'll be selling Bud Light, Stella, Goose Island there. And it should be a great time. And they'll also be doing some mixed drinks as well. So a little bit of everything for everyone there.
Yeah, so we have our permits. We have the stage permits. We have the tent permits. We actually have a
permits for permits.
We have a permit for a blow up Irish pub that's going to be down there where we'll have Irish coffees and a Bloody Mary bar as well.
That's fantastic. How's the city been to work with?
They're great. They're great in this regard. I
love our new mayor. He loves a party.
Yeah,
you start out a conversation and says, "Hey, I was thinking about a party." Boom.
I mean, we are going to be conducting an economic impact study for the weekend.
What's your guess on that?
I think it's going to be extremely positive. It'll highlight the near real numbers that we actually are bringing to town. I mean, from a financial aspect, it's important as we look at why the DC parade had to not have a parade this year, had to back away from it from the cost. And so we're looking for a partnership from the city because there is cost in the city's piece as well. So we'd like to know what we're bringing to town compared to other parades that may go on.
Makes sense. Make an argument for it because I do know that the city does waive certain things. I know there's some parades where they open up the garages for free to park. I mean, I don't know that would be a wise thing to do with 10,000 people, but a smaller parade, it might make sense. So, I mean, that does make sense. And I mean, I don't think anybody can deny that this parade, when this showed up on on everybody's radar 7 years ago, that first year, everyone walked away totally blown away. That it was like, oh my God, this was freaking great. And I mean, people are stuck in from the winter. They're ready to get out. It may not be quite spring, but it's pretty darn close. I know that there have been some snowy days, not necessarily for your parade, I don't think, but there was a St. Patrick's snow day.
There was. That was about 3 years ago. Yeah, like 7 inches on St. Patrick's Day.
I think they're calling for snow next weekend, but let's pray that just moves on.
It's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. We're going to have sunny 50s. It's going to be nice. But to John's point too, like we want to, like I said before, we want to keep doing. This is a prove it event for us. I think Shamrock the Dock is very much a prove it event, and we want to be successful with John. Just to keep this moving. Like I really think this is going to be something great for the city.
Well, I will say I want to give a shout out to Naptown Events, and you guys took the bull by the horns for the tug of war this year on the stodgy. Oh yes, we just humor Eastport and pull on the rope crowd, and said, okay, we're going to make it a party. And I believe, did you call it Rock the Dock? Did you have a name for it, or was it just a?
No, well, actually, we did have a name.
It was a tug of war.
It was just the Annapolis side of the tug of war.
I mean, you didn't fare too well as far as the tug itself goes.
We won.
Did you?
Yeah, the trophy's in armadillos right now.
I get confused. That
made it all the better.
Well, good. But I mean, that was a great party. I mean, a great showing here. And I know that Katcef and Budweiser were partners.
That's right.
As well for that, and it's really great to see that. In that event especially, that it's pretty much both sides of the creek have taken.
Well, you take some risks to do some things for your your city, and that was risky. But I felt that we could, if we did things the right way. I always think that if you go kind of half-heartedly at it, it's going to be a half-heartedly event. Yeah. And
judging from that video you and the mayor did, I would have gone with the half-hearted. That wasn't.
That was not my idea. That was his idea.
But I really think that the tug of war opened up the possibility for this event, and it's just if you do it right and you stay, the city's happy, just keep on going.
Yeah, that was a dry run. It literally was, and we talked about it before the tug of war because we had Shamrock the Dock in mind. We said, what would it look like? And in fact, we learned some things. We're going to turn the stage around and some other things. Okay. Probably wouldn't have a VIP area again.
Right.
Just have it more open. That's if we do the tug of war again. We'll have to see.
And you had mentioned the different events that are through here. You've got benefit warrior events. I mean, we talked a little bit about the Annapolis Police Foundation. I know you're intrinsically involved with warrior events. Tell us a little bit about warrior events, how we can support them aside from just attending all of these great events, and what they do and where to find out more information on that.
Yeah, so warrior events was actually, it is now 11 years old. I founded it after supporting some other organizations that were supporting wounded troops. And it's been great. We have supported hundreds and hundreds of troops and their families, generally around this area, leading out of Walter Reed, prior to when it moved to Bethesda down on Georgia Avenue. We did 80 events last year, and an event could be sending a few troops to a professional ball game or to a large event like the tailgates that we do for Navy football and Navy lacrosse. In fact, we have, as a selfless plug, and this is open to the public, our spring tailgate is for the Army-Navy lacrosse game on April 13th. And that's how we actually got these things started, by putting on large tailgates where all of the food is donated from local merchants, from local restaurants. We had about 25 restaurants at our last tailgate. And then we have Katcef there. We have bands, huge tent, and it's open and free to the public. We take donations. And in fact, it's more about an awareness day than a revenue generating day. We probably break even, and sometimes we lose a little bit of money, but it's important because people come to those events and they'll say, hey, we have a suite to a Wizards game. We'd like to bring some troops in. We're like, that's what this is all
awesome.
about. That's what it's about.
And I know I've been to several of them, and you do pass the bucket, the literal bucket around,
right.
looking for donations. And I have yet to be at one of them where I don't feel bad about reaching in my pocket and grabbing a 20 and throwing it in there, or whatever it is. I mean, that's always fun. I don't think I've ever been to the lacrosse one, but I have been to the football ones, and you can't miss it. Big, huge tent right on Taylor Avenue, right outside of the tunnel going into the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. And as John said, that is a free event open to the public. Come out, learn a little bit about warrior events, learn how you can support them, how to support the troops that are there. You typically do have some wounded warriors that are there, and some people that have been been involved in the organization for a long time, and the families. And
important to note is that they're there not to be thought of as someone in a fishbowl. I mean, they're there because they want to go have fun at a lacrosse game. So that's
free food and beer.
Really,
Let's cut to the chase.
Really important to us is that we don't advertise our events other than our tailgates, which are only 2 a year.
Right.
So of those 80 events, those other 78 events, we may talk about them in the past, but we are not an organization that is looking to have any sort of notoriety. There are no salaries. It's a very lean, from a charity watch perspective, we're at 99% of every dollar goes back, with very low overhead, very low admin.
That's exactly the type of organization that I'd like to support. I can't stand the ones where you give $100 or whatever it is, and you find that $3 of it went to the program,
right,
and the rest went to the Mercedes that the executive director is driving or whatever it may be.
And that was the basis to the starting of it in 2008. I won't name the other organizations that we kind of looked at and said that we were supporting, so we don't want to do it that way.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And out of that was born Naptown Events, which is sort of the umbrella company that is putting that out. Do you have anything else going on that you guys do, Naptown Events, other than I know you were the organizer for the Annapolis side of the tug, but that's sort of a city event. Was that your event?
No, that was Naptown Events. That's a private event, as is the parade. I mean, the reason the LLC was created was that when the parade for the first 5 years was a losing entity. And so I didn't want that money coming out of the troops' pocket. So there's cost. Like I mentioned, there's heavy costs. So I said, let's create a company so that if there are any losses, that it would come out of the LLC, which frankly is me.
Right.
And so last year we were positive, and that's a great thing, right? And I think this year, I mean, there's ebb and flow of sponsors, et cetera. But we try to think of ways of making a dollar. But we will support, as we already discussed, these other charities too.
Other events that you guys are doing?
So it's always in the back of my mind. I don't have any planned. I certainly have some in my mind. That one in particular I'd like to do. I won't mention it now, but it would be in the summertime. Could be a big event.
Okay, now you piqued my interest. Now I'll have to buy you a beer after the parade. Get them all liquored up, and we'll spill the guts.
Come see him on the Shamrock Stroll.
I have the Hooley to worry about that night. I got to watch it.
That is true. What do you? And I probably recommend everybody take off Monday. Would that be a good?
It's National PTO Day.
Okay.
Yeah. I just instituted that last week.
Probably, and you'll be off, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that's
passed out on the couch.
Been planned. No, I'll be good. We have two countries, folks from a couple different countries coming into town. So we've got a group from Norway coming in, a group of soldiers coming into town that came last year. I met them out in Houston. We were mucking out homes with Team Rubicon after Hurricane Harvey.
Right.
And I invited them to come to the parade. They stay for a week. So we've got other things to do on Monday and Tuesday. They're coming in next Thursday. They and their significant others. They're a great group.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
International relations going on down here in Annapolis.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than a local area parade now. It's international. We have, that I know of, folks from all the way up to Maine, all the way out from Chicago, California, Tennessee. It's a big deal.
Well, you guys are just sort of kicking off a season of fun stuff. I mean, because following on the heels of you, you've got the Ignite Annapolis over at the Maryland Hall, followed by the Film Festival, and then we get into the Chicken Wing Festival, and we get into summer, and we just roll right on through. John O'Leary Warrior Events from Naptown Events that's putting on the parade, the Hooley and co-sponsor, the Shamrock the Doc. Thank you very much for your time today. And Mike LeViseur from Katcef, Budweiser, Bud Light, Stella, all of the different brands that we love. Thanks for bringing the Shamrock Stroll for the 5th year and partnering with Naptown Events. I mean, I think we're looking forward to a great weekend next weekend. And to put that into perspective for people that are listening to this, not this weekend, that would be the 9th and the 10th of March, 2019. Make sure you're coming on out to at least one, if not all of the events. You've got the Shamrock
Stroll.
You got the Shamrock Stroll on the 9th.
The Hooley on the 9th, and then the parade
and Shamrock the Doc on the 10th.
Shamrock the Doc, the parade, Shamrock the Doc. So 2-part Shamrock the Doc.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots of Shamrocks in town that week.
It's a busy weekend next weekend. It's
will.
going to be a lot of green.
Absolutely.
Hey, can you like dye the harbor?
I know you're going to ask that. I don't know if the Chesapeake Bay Foundation would go for it, because even though it doesn't harm,
We can distract them.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun, but
One step at a time.
They do it in Chicago.
They also want me to get Travis Pastrana to jump Ego Alley. That could probably happen quicker than us dyeing the Ego Alley green. Right, Travis?
Hey, guys, thank you very much. And I am so looking forward to the parade, the Hooley, Shamrock Stroll, and Shamrock the Doc on the 9th and the 10th.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
This crab cake has been brought to you by the Maryland Crabs. Full episodes release every Thursday at noon. Please make sure you subscribe and visit us online at themarylandcrabs.com.